All right.
So how about we just dive in, because we all know there's a big three at receivers.
There are,
and
yeah.
I know, and I'm excited to see where you come out. And the first guy we're going to talk about, we just did a show with Matt Harmon. If you check out our YouTube channel, the Dynasty YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. We're doing a lot of good interviews. We had Matt Harmon on. If you don't know him, of Yahoo and Reception Perception, he is the wide receiver guru behind Matt O'Hara, and I loved his.
If your
top
name
three
is
as
Matt,
well.
you know receivers.
So let's kick it off. There's a lot to talk about here and unpack.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I this is the guy I've watched the absolute most tape on out of anyone so far.
Ooh.
Because I just wanted to make sure I
You're
had
dialed
it.
in.
I wanted to make sure I had it right, But Rome Odunze, Washington wide receiver, 6'2" and 7/8 inches, 212 pounds, 9 1/4 inch hands, 32 1/4 inch arms, 76 3/4 inch wingspan. He is 21 years old. He'll be 22 in June. He ran a 4.45 in the 40-yard dash. He had a 1.52 10-yard split, a 4.03 20-yard shuttle, a 6.88 3-cone, which is whoo.
Especially at that size.
That is nice. Broad jump of 124 inches, 39-inch vertical. Last year in 15 games, he had 92 receptions, 1,640 yards receiving, 13 touchdowns, 2 rush attempts, 37 yards, and an additional rushing touchdown.
Yeah, you mentioned when you read those stats, like the numbers he put up at the combine at his size make you go, whoa.
Ooh.
And so does his tape. This is a player that I've been talking about for quite a while. And I've said, I've watched so much of Odunze during the college years. Like, this guy's top tier. Like, I don't know how everybody's not screaming this guy's name. He's elite to me. And now that I finally got to actually study the player and watch his tape outside of all the casual tape and a little bit before getting ready for our interview with Matt Harmon.
Sure.
But the deep dive is I came away even more impressed than my initial impression. So this is somebody to me that has a chance to be a wide receiver one. And let me write that out a little bit better. When I say wide receiver one, I'm not even talking wide receiver one like, oh, he could be a top 12 wide receiver. That's, if you can't see that, then I don't know what you're watching. He has a chance to be wide receiver one overall. Like, not every single year, but he has a chance to produce 1 year as wide receiver one overall. He is that talented. There's a big, Michael Penix is a great quarterback. I love his ball placement, but when, and Matt Harmon said the same thing. When he's on the field, he's the best player on the field. Rome Odunze. He wins at so many different levels on the field. A guy of his size, his route running ability, just like Marvin Harrison Jr., elite. Bale getting out of his breaks, elite. When it comes to contested catches,
nuts.
Nobody does it better. And
literally, give him the numbers.
Yeah, Pro Football Focus had it as Rome Odunze is going back, they charted since 2014. So over the last 10 years, nobody has done better in a contested catch situation than Rome Odunze. And it's not even close. His contested catch rate is at 75% win rate. The second best since they've been charting it is Drake London at like 66.5. I think I actually wrote
that must mean Garrett gave him a 7.
65.4.
On his nerd score, right?
I hate you so much. He got a 9.
Rome was a sprinter in high school, so his speed shows up on tape. His ball skills, his body control, the way he can get out of his breaks and show that he can get separation. He is a fantastic route runner.
Yeah, he's
a big guy.
He's kind of he's deceiving, right? I don't think he's like as cut and twitchy as a guy like Malik, right?
Correct.
He's a little smoother of a route runner, not as bursty and kind of.
One's heavy metal, one's smooth jazz. They're just different.
They are different. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure people are getting a picture painted, right?
Yeah, Odunze's way closer to Marvin Harrison Jr. Than like a neighbor's caliber. Like they're talking about two different. Like Odunze's a true X receiver. Go out there and win. Like he's going to win on the field. It doesn't matter what's going on. You throw the ball up to him, he's going to come down with it. Or at least there's a 75% chance he will come down with it. So
facts don't lie.
So Neighbors is somebody you just want to get the ball in his hands. Like he's elite with the ball in his hands after the catch. Where Odunze and Marvin Harrison Jr., they're fine. They're not bad.
Yeah, they're okay at that.
But they're okay.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They win. The big thing with them is they're going to come down with the ball and they're going to catch the ball. Like they're a true number one receiver. All three of these guys are going to go top 10 NFL draft any other year, like for most years, like these guys would be wide receiver 1 overall in their class. You know, like if you watch I encourage you to watch that YouTube video with Matt Harmon, because I said, hey, there's so much variance going on in the community where like right now the hot thing is to say Malik Neighbors is wide receiver 1 overall for a lot of people. And I was like, Matt, you're the guru. I want to hear your take, and I want you to put them in order for me, because I have it where Marvin Harrison Jr. is in a tier by himself. He's a clear number 1. And I was like, I personally have Odunze and Neighbors like neck and neck. Like I can go either way with those guys. And then Harmon's answer was pretty spot on to what I said. I encourage everybody to go watch the video and see exactly what he says. But I was very encouraged, because when you hear a guy like Matt, who is literally renowned throughout the industry for his wide receiver work, like
That's
renowned,
what he does.
you know, he's considered the best in the business. For him to be exactly on line for how I feel and how I watch the tape, it's always comforting, you know, when you have people that you respect in the industry. So Rome, for me, is somebody that's going to come out, dominate on all facets of the field. I know Matt has a major concern with Odunze. We'll get there in a second.
No, yeah, I do. Go ahead.
It's definitely his yards after catch, and what Matt's about to tell you is probably his 2 flaws in the game. But I'm not nearly as worried as Matt may be.
So yeah, the big thing that I saw was, I think there was times where he struggled against press coverage. He just wasn't able to separate and detach from defensive backs and kind of get into his route. I thought at times they were able to affect him even in his route running. You know, they get hands on him. He wasn't able to effectively get into his route in time to be in the play. It was almost like they had taken him out of the play effectively right at the line of scrimmage, which, I mean, if you're going to be a dominant wide receiver at the NFL level, you can't have that hole in your game, because you're just going to get pressed over and over again. And if you want examples of it, go and look at Oregon. They pressed the heck out of him. Even Arizona pressed him, and they were bailing out into zones afterwards, but they wanted to get hands on him because they knew that was their best chance of affecting him. And listen, you're not going to be able to press a guy every single play ever, right? So it's not going to be an every down thing, but if they want to take him out of a play, I think defensive coordinators are going to be able to, until he's able to get over that hump and kind of learn how to do that, learn how to use his hands better at the line of scrimmage, which I think is something that he really, that's it. That's the key for me. If he learns to fight defenders off, he'll be able to just shed and swim and do all those kind of little things to get past guys, and he'll be fine. But it is a major concern for me right now.
And that was going to be the big thing that I was going to say. I don't have any concerns with his release. Like, I actually have a very good score for him with his release, with his feet. Like, his feet are excellent. Feet, it's tough to teach feet at that point. Hands is not difficult to teach.
And it's weird, because in my brain, I'm trying to go through all the scenario. I'm like, is this guy just not tough? But you see him block, and he's pushing guys all around. He's moving.
The effort level on his blocking is like, whatever team he goes to, that's like a small boost to their running back.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And that's what he needs to take, that mentality to defensive backs when he's getting off the line and just shedding them or dictating to them. You know what I mean? Like with his releases, hey, I'm doing this. You know, you have to have a couple of different kind of releases, an inside release, an outside release that go, you know, looks like an outside release, but it's actually an inside release, just to keep these guys off balance. And I think he's got all the talent to do it. I just haven't seen enough of it to feel real comfortable with that part of his game. And that's the major concern. And that's the thing that's holding me back from saying this guy is going to be an elite prospect, a guy that can be the number one wide receiver, because he's got everything else. But if he gets this, I think he can definitely be that. But without it, he's a guy that is, I don't want to call him a one-trick pony, because he's not. He's got lots of tricks. But he can be taken out of a game plan by certain defensive coordinators on any given week. If there's a who's the best guy? If there was a Jalen Ramsey, if there's a Jalen Ramsey's on the other side just pressing all day long on a guy, he could totally wipe him out of any given week.
I understand that. I think his feet are so good that I'm not overly concerned. I think you can learn a couple hand fighting techniques and overcome that pretty quickly. So I'm not overly concerned with that. And he's the type of player too that, even though he profiles as an X, and I think that's where he'll play for the most part at the NFL level, I have no worries that they could move him anywhere in the offense if they wanted to, and he would be effective.
Well, I mean, in Washington, they moved him around.
They move him around.
Stacked him because I think they even knew that he struggled at times. He was off the line behind another player at times, which is not something you typically see from a guy that's 6'3", 212 pounds, because you just don't need to. If you have a good solid release and you can get off that jam, you're not going to need to be hidden off the line of scrimmage or behind a guy. Yeah. So that was another little thing that kind of, I think, made me think and maybe made me look at that a little bit with a little bit more of a under a microscope, say, so to speak.
I mean, you have to nitpick all these guys.
You have to.
I mean, that's what we do this whole show. Like all these, we nitpick. But even more so with these top guys when they dominate and they do everything else so well, you're like, all right, what's your war? And that's why, because my note on here for his weakness was like, he struggles off the line against press coverage more than you would like. But I'm with Garrett. Like, it wasn't like as concerning to me. I'm like, oh, that's something he can work on, and he'll probably overcome that.
All that being said, I have him as my second guy, and he's above Malik Neighbors by the thinnest of margins, but he's there. He's above him. And if he was able to, if I didn't see what I saw about the press coverage, he would be closer to a Marvin Harrison. So, I mean, he has a ton of talent. And just that one thing,
Yeah, I mean, what is there anything that, like, you talked a lot about the negatives, like, what's your favorite thing about Rome Odunze?
I mean, you nailed it. On everything else, it's his catch point, attacking the ball, all that kind of stuff.
Late hands.
There's so much that he does that looks like a professional wide receiver already, between the route running and the ability to just kind of separate at the second level, all that kind of good stuff. That you guys already kind of talked about, so I don't want to nail it down too much, but.
I was just, again,
I'm trying to
look to catch, and that's fine, and that's your favorite. It should be, because that's what he dominated so much. Garrett, you got anything else you want on there?
Yeah, just overall, there are not many prospects that I've seen overall that look as NFL ready as Odunze looks, and I think that's the big thing for me is you can tell all of the time that he put into his craft. And there's other guys, and we'll even get to some where, you have questions on some of that kind of stuff. But he's a guy where you look at all of the things that he does, and he does well. Those aren't just things that happen. Speed sometimes just happens. Being 6'3" just happens. Like, there are other things that just you either have it or you don't. But then there's these nuanced things that you do that Rome Odunze does so well that you can just tell all of the reps and the effort.
He's almost got like a Keenan Allen.
Yes, he's been my comp.
Feel to him. Has he?
Yeah, he's been my comp. He's a faster Keenan Allen.
He's faster for sure.
Yep.
But he's got the same similar size and all that kind of good stuff.
And just a smooth operator. It's never like, it's more sudden than it looks.
Right.
Because it doesn't feel that sudden.
It's like effortl't movement.
It is.
Compared to like herky jerky explosion in and out
Kadarius Toney kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So he's I love that you said that, because that was the guy that I'd been talking about for a while. He's a faster Keenan Allen. Like, that's who he really reminds me of.
He brings all that skill set at 6'3", 212, which is what, same thing with like he's like Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, he brings that skill set.
We haven't had guys that have come out that are like the old school prototypical size guys, like we are
much
this
bigger
year,
class
in a long time. It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, obviously throw Marvin Harrison Jr. out of it, because he's in our tier by himself for all of us anyways. But like Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze would have easily crushed every receiver last year that came out. Like,
Easily.
These guys
I
are
think
like,
Jackson Smith and Jigbo wouldn't have been crazy far off.
Yeah, but Odunze's at another level as Jackson Smith and Jigbo. Definitely have come off the injury that Jackson had, right now playing for a year. So,
but I agree.
The size that they do this is like old school X receiver. They win, and they win all the time. And not only that, they're going to get the draft capital to back it up as well. I mean, Odunze might get the worst of it and put him
like
as
at 8 or 9.
Like, if he goes to the Bears, right? Like,
Right.
he's on there with a Keenan Allen and a DJ Moore. But these are three guys that are high level receivers. And it just, what drives me nuts about Odunze is like people just casually throw him to the back end of the, like, hey man, if you have the 7th pick this year, you're getting Rome Odunze. It's like, shit, dude, like that's
sweet.
Like,
sweet value right there.
What an amazing value in Superflex. And we haven't even talked about Brock Bowers yet in these tight end premium leagues. Where definitely in some leagues where we started, there's 2 catches per tight end. We're like, we'll get there in 2 weeks, but where does Brock go? So Jared, what do you have on top of Odunze here of elite prospect? And I know Matt has him as wide receiver 2. Garrett, you have him as wide receiver 2.
Barely, yep.
I have him and Neighbors as 2A and 2B. I still have Neighbors as like 2A. They really are more equals than separators, I guess is the best. Like I think
that's
equal.
Honestly what we would all probably say. It sounds like it was by splitting hairs with
It
Matt
was a
and
fraction of a point.
Yeah. And that's literally splitting hairs.
Yep.
So I have Odunze pretty firmly at 3, where I have Neighbors pretty firmly at 2 ahead of him. And I guess where I guess I have slight hesitations with Odunze, and I guess coming into tonight, it was reassuring in a way to hear Matt kind of echoing the same things that I was coming in here to like talk about. Was there are slight like separation concerns that I have with him when watching the tape. But other than that, I mean, I was talking to Garrett earlier today, like his across the board, every single category, it's like 7 or better. I think yards after catch and his game speed were the only like 2 things. I don't think he's like an overly fast player, but I mean, he's fast enough to get the job done. But
so what's your nerd score?
77.4. So that's good. And it's higher than Jackson Smith and Jigba was last year.
Who's that like equal out to from your past scores?
Treylon Burks was there, which is right around that area. Let's see. Henry Ruggs was in there.
Yeah, keep going.
I'll give you mine because mine are a lot more glowing.
What was some that are good?
You resorted it. Did you resort the
I resorted it by mine just now.
Yeah, like threw me off. That's why.
Go ahead, resort it by yours.
What was your score? He had 77.4.
I had a 79.2.
Nice. I like yours better.
I had a 78.
But
so
Drake London was right in there.
0.1.
So
Okay.
I mean, I'm not trying to say like Rome Odunze isn't a first round pick or anything. I think he's a top 20 pick. But yeah, there's just slight little separation concerns mixed with like the athleticism and I don't know, it's just like I think I got a little like N'Keal Harry vibes. I hate throwing that name out there.
You're just like comparing all these terms.
Yeah, you're really
I think N'Keal Harry didn't pan out for reasons that weren't, on the field or what we watched on the tape. So
I feel like I'm Daenerys' brother in Game of Thrones. And you're just pouring gold like you're Aquaman pouring gold all over my
Aquaman.
Well, I just
Which is accurate and not at all at the same time, which is awesome. For what it's worth, my all-time wide receivers from 4 through 8. These are who they are: Garrett Wilson, Rome Odunze, CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. So those are just pre-draft rankings for the nerd score of just specifically.
That's
my
4
rankings.
through 8.
That's 4 through 8 all time.
Which 1 through 2, 3?
Marvin Harrison, Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase.
Nice.
So I have him neck and neck with someone in this class that we're going to talk about tomorrow. Can I say it?
Hide it. Wait.
No,
wait.
just wait.
Because I also have a very high score, and I'm stressed out about it.
And I know who we're going to talk about because I have so.
But he's like a boom bust guy.
Yeah.
Yes,
cool.
he is.
Yeah.
Ultimate.
Lowercase boom. Capital,
So like if I were to rank
bust.
if I were to rank them or draft them, like I'd go with the safer guy, which would be Rome for me. So yeah,
Rome
maybe
is safe.
wide receiver 3.
Man, I'll say this. I feel like all 3 of these guys in the top of the draft are super safe. Like, I feel like the world is crashing down at their wide receiver 3s. And that's like their floor,
Oh yeah.
bar an injury.
Yeah, that would be.
But
yeah, unless there's a screw in a foot somewhere, then
you're
who
getting
knows what's gonna happen.
You're getting studs. You're getting wide receiver 1 studs. Jamar Chase is in trouble because, finishing every year as wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6. There's some new Cub Scouts joining the troops, and
5 and 6 becomes 8 or 9
and
pretty quickly.
And guess what? Garrett Wilson's got Aaron Rodgers now.
A couple of these wide receiver landing spots early though scare me.
Not seeing, but Marvin to like Arizona.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there are some that are like
The Patriots would be a little
Giants. Yeah.
Giants.
But even now, like, dude, like Malik, it'd be great for like any quarterback that goes there. Well, he's not going there. They're taking a quarterback.
They should.
They're not taking a receiver. Ladd McConkey in a second. That's where they're gonna